It's definitely a historic day for the crypto markets, one for the history books, right? We do have the executive order approving at least the Bitcoin strategic reserve, separating as well the terminology between a Bitcoin reserve and a crypto reserve. So isolating this specifically to Bitcoin, which is quite a big deal, right? But the picture of health and fitness does not look so great, right? If you look at the reaction off of that, it was a sell the news event. This wasn't even priced in since nobody expected this to come out last night. It was late last night towards at least, well, in US hours, towards the end of the market close. And consequently, you had an immediate reaction, a sell-off straight away to the downside because of that. So we'll see what happens later on today as we do go into the crypto summit. There's actually a lot of important information coming out today, which is probably going to be the catalyst that drives the next move. Now, if the history does repeat, well, it has been every major event has become a sell the news event under at least Trump, right? Everything that's positive that has been said about crypto soon after prices have been faded, right? So there's a lot that we need to look at. We've spoken about this at least on the Crypto Banter channel. Of course, today I'm on the Crypto Live channel. So if you're not already subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. Smash the like button as well, because it really helps to get the show content out there. And if you have a friend that's sitting on the other channel waiting for the show, go there and tell them to come this side, because every single time there's somebody waiting on that end, right? So look at the picture over here. You can see, crypto down, but it wasn't only crypto. The stock market as well took a massive dip yesterday as it's been coming into the 200-day moving average, but it's starting to show some real danger signs, some real signs of weakness. And if the stock market doesn't bounce very, very soon, well, crypto is going to trade in correlation to exactly what's happening within the stock market. And consequently, it's going to be near impossible for crypto to catch a bid despite the positive news. In fact, the positive news that comes out without price bouncing off of that news is more of a warning signal than anything, right? So basically the positioning that at least I've adopted here is that, I'd rather be in a risk-off stance in capital preservation mode until such time as certain high levels get reclaimed. Yes, it means I buy back higher, but it means that I have confirmation of a trend reversal towards the upside and a much safer entry. Now, of course, there's different types of traders out there, which we've really hit home on throughout the course of this entire week, where I said, depends on what type of trader you are, you do you. If you think that you can time the exact bottom and get the dip over here, great. I would also try and do that, but I would need to see lower prices, right? This is the current dips haven't been high confidence enough for me, or high confidence enough for me to take the trade, right? So here it is, fact sheet. President Donald J. Trump establishes the strategic Bitcoin reserve and US digital asset stockpile in the documents over here. He differentiates that you get a different one, right? You get the strategic Bitcoin reserve, which they're going to be using the confiscated Bitcoin, the Bitcoin that came from Silk Road. Majority of that, I think it's around 200,000 Bitcoin over there. And they won't be selling that, right? And they're also going to find other ways without using taxpayers' money to potentially accumulate over time. Now, this is kind of a loose terminology. We need to hear more about this. It's not enough information over there, but I guess the most optimistic, super bullish, this is Bitcoin or hyper Bitcoinization is the terminology, where you take Bitcoin to $10 million per coin over time, over decades. How could you get to this? Well, if it means that they could sell other assets, which becomes a tax write-off, and use that to buy more Bitcoin over time, that could be pretty big, right? Maybe they want to lighten the load of gold, right? Their gold reserves. Remember, they are going to be doing the massive audit in Fort Knox. So maybe they'll start to reallocate, rebalance the portfolio. If they do something like that, that will be absolutely huge. But just think about this. This stuff takes time, right? The same way that, when ETFs came into play, it took time for them to start to accumulate and for price to build momentum and move towards the upside. And I don't think we're quite there yet. So if you want to read this document, it is on the whitehouse.gov fact sheets. If you go over there, you'll probably be able to read the whole thing. Use ChatGPT to summarize it if you are confused about anything. But so far, the announcements have gone according to plan. They freed Ross. Everything Trump said he was going to do, he did. Now, the last thing I think on the list to tick off is, removing capital gains from Bitcoin purchases. That will also be pretty big, right? But again, it might only come into effect later once we see new momentum come back into the market, because you can't fake that, right? You need real momentum behind price, which is what we've spent a lot of time looking at, the volume, things like that. We'll talk about that more in today's show. So campaign promises being kept, Bitcoin reserve clearly distinguished from the altcoin stockpile. Bitcoin gets official USG seal of approval. No other coin has that. No taxpayer money spent to acquire the coin, so there's no backlash from at least the anti-Trump people, and future acquisitions of coins likely left to Congress, as it should be, right? So that is it, right? That is essentially the summary of this fact sheet. Now, what happened? 24-hour liquidation, another $500 million liquidated, most of those coming from the long side. And once again, you know, to me, this is always a warning sign, right? Every single time one of these things come out, it just keeps getting faded. And if you have to ask yourself, if this type of information was coming out 1 year ago, where would Bitcoin go? This thing would be gigacent, 50% candle in one go, right? What are we getting now? We're getting 5% down candles off of the most bullish news in history, right? Now, I think it's got a lot to do with what the stock market's doing, and we have built the case for why the stock market could also bounce. And we'll get more information on that today, because it is a high impact economic day. You know, you do have the non-farm employment change in the US unemployment rate, which is coming out later today. And then you have, again, Trump speaking. Powell's also speaking later on today as well. So we'll see. I think there'll be a lot of volatility, right? A lot of volatility. So I think that the safe play, and it's up to you, right? You live your life the way you want to live your life. If you like to live on the edge and you want to be risky, buy the dip. If you prefer stability and at least, you know, a safer approach, well, you're just going to have to wait for higher confirmed prices, closes around that $100,000 mark, and then you can start to say, you know, you've broken back into the trading range and the worst is over, and we're going to continue to float towards the upside. Now, if this was me a couple of years ago, I'd probably take the much more risky approach. But now I'm dealing with a much bigger account size. I can't play games with this type of capital, right? So again, each person is going to be in their own boat. So looking at the stock market over here, bearish divergence. I covered this on yesterday's show. I know this scared a lot of people. I mean, it's subject to interpretation. Sometimes these bearish divergences can remain for a very, very long period of time. Like, for example, over here, the bearish divergence started over there. Price continued to climb towards the upside. But again, the safe entry on the stock market would be waiting for this daily RSI trend line, which is downtrending, to break. You are coming straight into the 200, right? So we said, yes, theoretically, this is a support zone. But I'll show you some other charts as well, which are a little bit scary. There's your weekly as well. Bearish divergence on the weekly scale. It's the same thing over here. And on a weekly scale, you officially have a change of character. You have a broken structure, right? Essentially over there, you've broken out, right? You've taken out the last high low, which is definitely a warning sign. Now, again, we need to wait for the candle to close, right? So if this candle closes a full bullish candle later on today, maybe that changes things. We'll find out later, because remember, the stock market does close today on a Friday. We'll look at CME as well. I will be doing a show tomorrow as well on the Crypto Banter channel, so please go over there if you do want to find out more. I'm going to spend quite a lot of time, I think, tomorrow. I want to kind of break down, you know, what happened in the stock market back in 2016, because there's these comparisons between Bitcoin potentially being in a similar environment right now to what it was at in the 2016-17 cycle, where, yes, we had big shakeouts and then you started to rally towards the upside. So I want to make comparisons. I want to see, did the stock market back then have bearish divergences? If you want to see that, come to tomorrow's show, right? That's where I'm going to be covering that. And we'll also go through some altcoins there. So warning sign, warning sign, right? So the last time that we did see something just like this was over here. And this was where we essentially marked the last crypto cycle top. You can see over there, you got your change of character. Next candle broke down, jumps up, lower high, and basically just walks down all the way down into the 200-week moving average. Where is the 200-week moving average now? The 200-week moving average is obviously quite a lot lower. So, of course, this would be rising as price walks down. If you did have to follow a similar trajectory and walk down, you know, maybe you catch it around that 5,000 mark, which would be like a 13% downside move. That probably takes Bitcoin down into like somewhere between the low 60s and maybe low 70s, right? If that did happen. I'm just, you know, spitballing over here. So we're keeping an eye on that. The other thing that I'm looking at over here is just the same moving averages, the 3, the 9, and the 30, which I like to use on Bitcoin to try and work out these trending moves. And what you can see over here is, again, you're starting to close some candles underneath. In fact, if you go on the weekly is well below, right? And you're starting to get the cross between, well, the 3's already crossed below the 9 moving average, and it's now fast approaching the 30. If price is below all of those candles and they start to roll over, I'm looking on the low time frame, like the 5-day, just to get a little bit more of a lead in terms of what's happening. That can easily lead to that drop, right? Again, if we go to the prior time that happened, this is similar to what we saw with the break of structure back over here, right? There it is at your top in January 2022, where price marked all the way down into October 2022, and you have something similar that's taking place, right? So you can see what happened over there. Price came down, break of structure on the weekly time frame, sets in the lower high, crosses all those EMAs down. You chop about, it takes about another 2 months almost, right? 64 days of confusion probably in the market, right? Where people are not sure. Is it over? Is it not over? Is it over? Is it not over? And then it starts to mark down more aggressively, right? So I'm not saying that's going to happen, right? It's a bit too soon to tell, but the point is that we're right on the edge. It's a real cliffhanger over here for us. We need to see how these things start to close. If that did happen over the same duration, well, you could chop about here all the way into like May, and then start to roll over a little bit more aggressively. So I think it's a very interesting time in the market. Again, go back to the daily, default onto the daily. Theoretically, the daily is right into support, right? So I'm not here to FUD you out of your positions. Just understand that you have broken structure. You've put in lower lows, right? New swing lows on the stock market. But sometimes you do get this, like you saw over here, right? Break of structure, new swing low, almost tags the 200, leads into a big bounce. Why are we even looking at this? The reason we look at this is because Bitcoin is so heavily correlated to the stock market. So all you need to do is look to the stock market if you want to get insight into what Bitcoin or crypto could possibly do next. And that's the reason that we're looking at that, right? DXY. I mean, you would think similar to the biggest announcement that we've ever seen, a breakdown in the DXY, which we actually planned for ever since the highs over here. We were always looking for the deviation, but this is a pretty substantial drop, right? With pretty much no pause, bounce, nothing over here. You would think that this would have created much more of a move within the crypto markets. And we spoke about this as well yesterday, where we said, what does this mean? If you have the stock markets that's going down and you have the DXY that's going down, like usually these things trade inverse to one another. When this goes down, stock market goes up. So what does it mean when this is going down? Stock market is going down. Bonds are going down. Well, that means that it could mean that money is leaving the US, right? Maybe people are not too happy about the tariff thing, and investors are moving their money elsewhere for now. Doesn't mean that they're not going to come back, right? So it's all interesting, very, very interesting. I would expect that if this does find any support over here and lead into a substantial bounce to put in the lower high, that probably does add additional pressure onto those risk-on assets, which is where you could see that follow through on both Bitcoin and the stock market. And these are just the risks, right? Again, I'm not a perma bear here, guys. I actually believe that it's possible that either, within the next couple of decades, you could see Bitcoin trading at $1 million to $10 million per coin. I actually think that that's a real possibility, and I'm definitely bullish on Bitcoin long term. But at the end of the day, I'm a trader first and foremost, and I'm looking to get as much Bitcoin as I can. And one of the ways that I do that is I buy low, sell high, and then I exit when the trend starts to reverse, and then I buy back again lower. That's ultimately what I'm doing, right? I'm not here to, FUD anyone out of their positions, because I can see there's definitely a lot of backlash on the bearishness at the moment, right? Okay, monthly chart as well. Again, this is just showing you the implications if you do start to lose that 7 moving average. Typically, once lost, then you almost always move back down to the yellow, which is going to be the 20 moving average. Right now, that's situated at 63,000, which is part of the reason why I say if you do start to break down on the stock market, low 60s, to $70,000 region is more or less, give or take, going to be a major support, at least for a bounce, right? Similar to the stock market, we still got the bearish divergence over there on Bitcoin. Price is still below the 21 weekly exponential moving average. And if you want the most idiot-proof trading strategy in the entire world, in the entire universe, it's this. The 21 weekly exponential moving average, if Bitcoin is below it and it's angled down, then you are out. It's risk off. If it's angled towards the upside and Bitcoin price is above it, then you're in and it's risk on. And what is it doing right now? Well, of course, because the EMA gives more relevance to the recent price action, it gives a higher weighting to the more recent candles and prices below. It is angling down. So if price did have to snap back up, above $90,000 and close again, similar to last week's candle over here, that would kind of keep the hope alive. This would hold sideways over here, and then it becomes more neutral stance, right? So we've had a nice run. It's been a beautiful, beautiful run. You can see over there, ever since the start there, that's where it first recaptured and angled it up. If you took that trade, even on a closing basis, $20,000, $21,000 at the time, may have felt like you are chasing the pump, but you can see what comes next. That's what came next. So anyway, continuing on, this thing updates just now. Let's just quickly see March the 6th. We need March the 7th data. Usually it updates just after the live show. So make sure you go and have a look at this. It has been putting in lower highs. You can see the angle over there. It's starting to turn back over, right? This is the 7-day exchange volume, 78.3 billion, down to 73.36 billion. So we'll see if we get follow through towards the downside. If so, this is one of the predominant things that I'm going to be looking at to see that there is a shift within the market, right? We want to see higher highs and high lows, not lower highs and lower lows, with the RSI coming down, which is the bearish chart, right? Also, I just saw this picture of Sam Bankman-Fried. I don't know if you guys saw this. He was interviewed last night by Tucker in prison, supposedly. He's supposedly in prison with P. Diddy. He said P. Diddy is a really friendly guy. And he said, I don't know, it was quite an awkward interview. You have to go and look at it. Apparently, he is completely broke now, and he's looking to possibly exit prison around his 50s. So interesting interview. Anyway, nevertheless, let's continue on over here. So Delta's slightly negative. I mean, I'd probably put this more on the side of neutral. Let's just see the downside. Still in the same place as yesterday. Big Bitcoin orders hovering around that mid $70,000 region, $75,000. Yesterday, during the at least price action being high up. So as you can see, I just want to highlight this chart. This is in the Whale Room Discord, lower highs, and this is turning the corner. So we're going to see if it's going to get follow through or not, especially if today ends up being a sell the news event, which is the most likely outcome. The other thing that we're looking at yesterday, as we spoke about, in the Whale Room Discord, the bearish divergences over here, momentum oscillator rolling over, and price likely coming all the way down into that $85,000 region. And again, updating over here as price was coming down, you can see that was the area where we're looking for major support. And we even took it a step further, giving you the exact Fibonacci levels. So this is the benefit of being in the Whale Room if you're not there already. 84,500 was the pinpointed area. And that's actually exactly what we got, right? So we got price dropping perfectly into that zone. So if you are looking for short-term trades, there's tons of short-term trades over there. But we're still struggling with the high volume area. So that's all it is a short-term trade, right? We need to see price action get above these levels. Nothing has changed. It's the same thing every single day. Until such time as we break above this point of control, $97,000, that is your first sign that something is changing, right? So you need to see something like this, right? You need to see a big, strong candle follow through, especially if you get like weekly closes and multiple daily closes above here. That's going to be looking good. Then you can say, you know what? That was it. That was the shakeout. The bottom is in. And now you're in a position, yes, you're buying higher. Of course, it means you're buying higher, but you're in a position of safety where you can trade this to much higher prices, right? So still keeping an eye on this high volume area where price continuously keeps rejecting. You can see if I move it up like that, you got these rejection candles. You got this one that basically wicks straight into the next high volume area and is starting to come down, right? So same thing. Nothing has changed over there. Use your 4-hour 250 EMA, which has just been governing price down the whole time. That's the zone that you need to get back above. Until then, there's no sign of any reversal over there. Just quickly looking on the low time frame. Let's just quickly move that up over there. All right, so I'm on the hourly chart. Let's maybe go on as low as like the 5-minute to just see if there's anything interesting taking place. Not too much leverage right here in the market. Sorry, guys, I can't see all of my screen over there. Okay, it's pretty neutral. We're just chopping about, not too much over here. I would assume The smart leverage traders are probably not going to put on too many positions today, so open interest might hang around over here unless they FOMO into positions off of some sort of a major announcement from the Bitcoin or the crypto summit, at least that's happening later on today. All right, guys, if you do want to learn more, also just quick reminder, 17 days left to join Whale School. So you can learn how to trade in just 10 days. There will be a fee on this course, right? Unless you use this link, right? If you go into the description below and you sign up to Altbank, they're giving you 50% trading bonuses, and you're getting also with that 100% cash back on every trade, which basically makes it as if you are trading for free, right? It's almost as if you're trading for free on this exchange. If you do use that link and you sign up to Altbank, when you sign up to school, they're going to give you an additional bonus on top of that, right? So all the details I'll probably have for tomorrow's show, but this will access all of the crypto school courses. From the next cohort, all the school courses are going to have fees, right? They're going to cost anywhere between $2,000 and $3,000. So it's your last chance, right? Sign up using the link below to Altbank and make a small deposit, just like $100, just so that we know that you're human. And you'll be able to enter into any of the crypto schools forever in the future without having to pay. All right, that is the point of that. Let's continue. USDT dominance. I'm keeping a very, very close eye on this. It's been range bound. It's starting to kind of form this wedge over here, which shows that soon there's going to be volatility. I mean, if you continue to squeeze into this, there should be a decision by Monday, right? Somewhere around Monday, you're going to reach the apex of this wedge, and then we're looking for a move. Right now, this has come off a long-term range. Usually when you have a big range breakout like that and you backtest the support, theoretically, you'd be looking for continuation. This was always kind of my worst case scenario, meaning worst case scenario, Bitcoin price goes down as this goes up. Worst case scenario would be that this breaks towards the upside and tags the 6.3% region. And then we call that, like mini bear market, big shakeout. Who knows where Bitcoin finds its bottom? Probably again around that $60,000 low, somewhere in that zone over there. You don't want to close too many candles in that region, and that would be a great reaccumulation opportunity for the long term, in my opinion. However, if this does start to break back down, right, and you can get back underneath this zone, at that point in time, you probably see Bitcoin breaking and clearing some of these highs that I've just outlined over here. And that's your sign of safety, right? So until then, it is dangerous, right? It's definitely dangerous, in my opinion, to, especially if you're new to the market, it's dangerous to be looking for longs. If you've been in the market since the beginning, no problem, right? Your average entry is so far down, all you're doing is giving up a little bit of your gains. But if you're someone brand new, you've just arrived to crypto and you're thinking, hey, should I long over here? Well, you could be someone that's longing the prior cycle 65 to 69K top, and it takes a long time to recover those losses, right? So it's all about risk to reward. What is the risk to reward right now? Bitcoin dominance still looking very, very strong over there, continuing towards the upside. And sure, we can go through altcoins. Remember yesterday as well, when it came to SUI, you had the apparently the what are they called again? World Liberty partnering with SUI. So basically putting their stamp of approval on SUI, and you got a big pump, immediately faded again. These are warning signs, guys. I mean, these are definitely warning signs. When you see this, you just need to see the trends reverse, right? So all you have to do is you need to break what you would have needed to break this level. Now, I guess you can look at this level over here. If you can start to trade back above $3 on SUI, then that will be a sign that maybe you're breaking structure, change of character, and things can start to move towards the upside. Otherwise, all this is a series of lower lows and lower highs, right? That's all that it is. Even something like HYPE, right, which I've been pretty interested in. And at one point I was reaccumulating, I think it was down over here, and we're looking to trade it above the breakout level, and it never quite got there. So we ended up taking the profits on this HYPE trade in Whale, and it came all the way back down, right? And I didn't allocate over here because of the weakness within Bitcoin. And you can see it starts to roll over. This is now the next area of interest. Could it trade all the way back up here before going down again? Absolutely, right? You might see something like this, but that is ultimately resistance. And what is it putting in, right? This is what you have to ask yourself. Do you want to buy downtrends? There's a reason that it's called the trend is your friend until the end of the trend. Because if you stay friends with this trend, you will not cry. You won't have crocodile tears. You won't get wrecked. If you go against the trend, well, then you will have crocodile tears, right? You're going to lose all your money. and these trends can continue for quite a long period of time. So we really need to see a shift within the momentum over here. The other thing that I've been looking at is, Sonic. Very tempted. I'm very, very tempted to put in a buy order over here because, of course, you can put in a nice little tight stop underneath there that's 5.47% away. You could even put one below that previous week low. There is always a possibility that this could be putting in a little bit of a double bottom over here. And I could even make the argument, for a W formation. You could see if this does trade above those highs. That's your W formation. This could easily trade back to 80 cents. That's almost like close to 100% move. Will be just short of that, right? If you look at this over here, this would be, let's measure that move over there. You'd be looking at from there to there, 40% move over there. But which way is the trend? Unfortunately, it's still down, right? Lower lows and lower highs on the 4-hour time frame. So only time will tell, right? Only time will tell. We need to see strength from Bitcoin. Near as well. Near, similar to Sonic, coming straight into support. If you are looking for low time frame trades, absolutely, I could make the argument that in the short term, there are a lot of short-term trade opportunities where you could trade it like that. Stop loss below yesterday's low. If this does hold and anything bullish comes out, you could get a little bit of a spike towards the upside over there. So this is mostly the way that I'm playing the market at the moment, is I'm just looking for quick opportunities like this, right? Let's just quickly grab our risk to reward tool so I can show you on this one as well. I'm mostly just looking for quick opportunities like this, but I need enough confluence, right? I need more than, just a horizontal over here. Like I would need some bullish divergence. We don't really have that yet. The momentum oscillators, it's okay. Maybe if I saw something like this, right, later on today, round it up, come back down, roll over, put in the high low, that would look something like this, right? If I see something like this and roll through, maybe then I'll take the trade, right? If you want that info, jump into Whale Room. That's where I'll update you. Although, that probably happens over the course of the weekend. I'm not convinced I want to take a trade over this weekend because we've seen in recent times how absolutely insane the manipulation was, right? It was just the last weekend that on Sunday, Trump came and on his Truth Social said all those things about crypto, and that in an illiquid market just smash price straight to the upside over there. So, anything can happen. Anything can happen over here. And therefore, I don't want to risk too much. It's capital preservation mode. All right, let's quickly take a look at Mantra, which has also been one of the strongest. This thing's really starting to look like it's rolling over, at least on the low time frame. You are coming into the daily fair value gap over here. So mid-level is going to be kind of your area of interest. So I guess, expect that this is probably going to sweep down, right? If you are in Mantra or you're looking for a trade in Mantra, high time frames are still bullish. It is one of the most bullish charts that are out there. And if it's going to continue to persist to be one of the most bullish charts out there, kind of just watch this area, right? As it sweeps down into about 618. If it sweeps 618, holds that level, and then low time frame, you're looking for a bit of a break of structure, right? So you want to see this, right? So you got essentially, what have you got there? Lower lows and lower highs, right? Lower lows and lower highs. So you might see something like that. Higher low, now you get interested, right? Higher low, maybe you can even attempt to buy that if you're a high risk individual. Stop loss goes below the last little wick lows. Why? Because you're coming into this beautiful inefficiency candle, the fair value gap, with prior range high support, breakout, come all the way back, retest. This is similar to Bitcoin. If Bitcoin had to go down into the 70K region to test its range high breakout level, and you have a full retest, right? So watch for the little bit of a move up, lower high, but creating a high low. Now you can start to look to scale into that trade, right? Breakout, take out that level over there, create your first higher high. Now you know you're in the money. Put your stop loss a little bit higher into break even, risk-free trade, expect possibly another high low, and then run it up, right? So on a daily, what would that look like? It would look like this, right? You're getting a beautiful reaction then out of the range breakout level. And if you don't get that reaction out of the range breakout level, then this thing is cooked and it's probably going to roll over in a big way. Okay, so a little bit of at least a short-term trade analysis. Let's have a look at ONDO. I want to quickly check out ONDO. Let's have a look maybe on the daily. I mean, I'm not loving it. I did see some other big crypto, at least X trader names starting to scale into ONDO longs over here. Look, I don't love it. The only argument that I could make is, you have this region over here, which was prior, a little order block led to the big move up, back tested as support, rolled over at support, lost it, resistance, consolidated, support, bang, support bounces, comes back into that zone again, but it's hit this level a lot, right? So I don't know how I feel about this one. Again, I prefer to buy into strength at this point of the market cycle. Depends, I can change my style depending on what point of the market we're in, because I believe that we at least 2/3 of the way through the bull run, possibly even fully through the bull run, but at minimum 2/3 of the way through the bull run. Now I'd rather buy into strength. Okay, if we were in the, at least in a bearish market where I knew that there's no chance we're in a bull run, then I'm okay with buying a little bit more into weakness, because I know that prices are eventually going to trade up higher. Right now, I'm not convinced, right? Which means that I would need to see this break. So I'd be looking for something like this on ONDO, right? If you see this, bob about that. Higher high, come down, create a high low. This is going to take a bit of time. This could come sometime only in April, where you start to see something like that. And again, the volume, right? That's what we're waiting for. We need to see volume. All of these sell-offs over here have been relatively low volume. If you look at the volume profiles over here, this entire trading range that we started to break down, no volume, right? If we're looking for Wyckoff accumulation schematics with a spring phase and a big bounce up, we need to see a bit more volume. There hasn't been too much volume over here. The volume just keeps declining, and that is all in alignment with everything that we're looking at over here with a big warning sign. Let's do a quick refresher. Maybe it's loaded 7th. We need the 7th data. I wish this thing would load sooner, right? Still 6th of March. We need the 7th. Because if that's going down, it's in alignment with this volume on the order books, and that's a warning sign. It's the lifeblood of the crypto markets, right? Is the volume. You need the volume over there. If there is no volume, things just naturally bleed out over time. All right, let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? Is there anything else that you want? What can I help you with? I am at your service, fam. I'm at your service over here. If there is anything that you guys need help with, I am checking out the comments over there. All right, 𝗬𝗡𝗡, sure. Let's have a look at 𝗬𝗡𝗡. Okay, let's go. 𝗬𝗡𝗡, where's 𝗬𝗡𝗡? 𝗬𝗡𝗡 USDT. We can also do some of these, the altcoin requests and things tomorrow. So if you guys do want to do more altcoins for the Saturday show, you can also let me know in the comment section of this video after the show ends, right? Not in the live section, because that feed doesn't save. I need the post-show feed, meaning that you need to go into the actual comments once the video is finished, and then I can go and read that. This is terrible. 𝗬𝗡𝗡 is terrible. Like, I mean, I wish I could give you something better, because you're probably bullish on this, but just look at that chart. It is absolutely shocking. This is, we covered this previously. It's like kind of gone through a full bear market already. I think from top to bottom, this is like over 80%. And man, it's just not looking good, right? You need to see strength, right? You absolutely need to see strength. This is just a series of lower lows and lower highs. This is going to be, even if you get a big relief rally, this is going to be a big zone to try get above $12.55. Like, even if you get a big bounce, expect that, that's probably going to get faded. So I would wait for that big bounce, right? Get the big bounce. It will get faded. And then if it starts to show signs of life, putting in a high low, then you know that maybe you have something on your hands and a big deviation. But really, the crypto bros need liquidity. That's ultimately what we need, right? We have to get liquidity in the market. I know that there's the whole chart doing the rounds with the M2 money supply, which is moving towards the upside, and crypto lags the M2 money supply, which means by the 25th of March, the crypto market should begin to run. It is absolutely possible, because there is also massive options expirations coming up right around the same time in the 3rd week of March, and I am keeping my eye out on that. So basically, I am on a bottom hunt over here for sure. I am looking to capitalize and buy this dip. I'm not saying that the penultimate top is in and we're going into a multi-year bear market. I reserve the right that there is a possibility for that to take place, but it's definitely not my base case, right? My base case is that this is still a massive shakeout, but I need to put my money where my mouth is, and the way that I'm playing it is, I guess, as bad as if the cycle were over, because right now I'm 100% in cash, right? Barring a few other random altcoins that I hold, smaller positions that I got in near the bottoms or the lows, like in certain meme coins, those things I'm still holding. But the vast majority of my crypto portfolio has been in cash now for quite some time, right? And I would love to deploy that into the market, but I need to see enough of a reason. I need to see a high confluent trade setup, right? And I haven't got that yet. I attempted the one, and then of course we had a little bit more of Trump manipulation, and that basically took me out of that trade. And since then, I've just been sitting on the sidelines waiting. Now, many of you may think that max pain is towards the upside, right? But I don't know, guys. I mean, we need to look at, for example, on Twitter, I did run a poll over here, and all of you can go there and vote. I asked what percentage of your crypto portfolio. What is this rubbish over here? I don't want your promotions. I need to read. What the flip is this thing over here? Okay, look at this thing, chat. This Grok is going ballistic over here. So I asked what percentage, if you could read that, if it didn't have a bloody promote sign over there, would say that what percentage of your crypto portfolio right now is currently, maybe let's just go back one post over here so we can actually read the thing properly. There we go. What percentage of your crypto portfolio is in stable coins? So you can let me know in the chat, meaning you're holding USDT or USDC, you're holding stable coins, and what you initially intended to have in the crypto market, what percentage of that is in coins, altcoins, Bitcoin, etc., and what percentage is in stable coins. You can see over here, most of the people, 76.6%, voted that 0 to 25% is in stable coins, which means 3/4 or more, 75 to 100% of their portfolio is essentially in the market. So what percentage of your money is in stable coins? That's my question to you. Vote over there. I'm looking at, we don't have a poll up, but you can just vote over there, or just put in the percentage in the chat. I'm looking over there. What percentage? Okay, we got 50-50, 0%. What else? Guys, follow me on Twitter as well. If you want to participate in these polls, at Kyledoops with the blue tick over there, go through and vote over there. 100% in stables, 80% in stables, 75%. Okay, 10%. Remember, the question is in stable coins. What percentage are you in USDT? Okay. So maybe you need to go through and vote on my poll section over here. Get more votes in. You still have 10 hours left to vote. The Twitter audience, it looks like the majority of them are in the market, right? And that tells me that nobody is prepared for further downside, right? We have all this bullish news. I talk about it in Whale School, right? Go through to Whale School. Remember, use the Altbank link. This accesses all of the crypto schools for free, and there's going to be a $3,000 to $4,000 price on every single crypto school, meaning Sheldon's school, Rand school, which is coming out soon, mine, Eric Crown school, etc. All of those are going to be priced in a couple of weeks' time. But if you use the Altbank link, you'll get in for free forever, right? For any of those schools. So use that link, sign up. But anyway, what I discuss in the crypto school is there's one of the modules that I go through where I talk about the signs and the symptoms of a cycle top. Now, we haven't had any of those signs and symptoms in terms of the sentiment with things being overheated, like YouTube views. YouTube views should have breached well beyond 4 million views per day. We didn't even get close to that. I think we only got to about 1 million views per day, which is way smaller than 2021, which just shows there hasn't been any retail. There has been some, we are retail, but there hasn't been retail in the market quite like what we saw in 2017 and 2021, right? There's also like short-term bubble risks, and it combines a whole lot of different metrics, fear and greed indexes, etc., etc. We didn't see any of that reach those heights, right? But there have been other clues, right? The bearish divergences, that's one thing that you have to consider. This is why I'm saying you have to open up the possibility that things could possibly go lower. Although we don't want to admit it, it's a real possibility. You're seeing things like this, right? The most bullish events you could ever in your entire life picture for the crypto markets coming in play, like a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This was a pipe dream in 2017. They would ask you if you're smoking crack cocaine, if you even suggested something like that in 2017. And here we are. It is approved. It was signed. The executive order was signed by Donald Trump last night, but where is price? there's no bid. There is no bid, right? These are very, very big warning signs. These are things you need to be careful of. So what am I saying? All I'm saying is just all you need is the confirmation, right? If it is so bullish, if it's so wonderful, and this is not a sign and a symptom of at least a local top, I'm not necessarily, I don't want to even throw that word out yet that it's a cycle top, but if it is a sign and a symptom of this having been a local top, and you want to invalidate that thesis, because that's what trading is about, right? You have validations and you have invalidations. So to invalidate that bearish thesis, bulls have to do one simple thing. It should be very, very easy in this environment. Just do this. Just do this. That is all you have to do. Just get back above those key levels, break the structure, right? Break the structure. If you want to be super safe, rather get above that breakdown level, because this was kind of a false pump. So in one sense, I don't want to give too much weighting to these candles over here. Therefore, this is the source of truth, is your high volume point of control over there, which is the original breakdown area. Get back and hold above that level over there. That's why I say just round it up, call it 100,000. Let's make it a six figure, right? 100,000, hold $100,000, and then things should be looking good. All right, when FOMC? When is the FOMC? Let's see, we can have a look at, let's look at everything for this month. And when do we have FOMC? So that's 7th of March. We have CPI data coming out on the 12th of March. And then let's see, what else have we got? Then we have FOMC. See, what's interesting about this, right, is the 19th of March, we have US FOMC. And that kind of lines up with those big options expirations that are also coming out. So you could see a Max Payne scenario where you just kind of like grind all the way down into that. And then the stock market might rise in fear, get into more extreme fear, losing the 200-day moving average. Maybe people like really start to get shaken out. And then that's where they say, shit, something bad is happening over here. FOMC, let's cut more interest rates and like completely stop quantitative tightening. I don't think they're going to announce quantitative easing, but they'll just probably say something like, let's stop quantitative tightening, which they said they're going to do some point between now and June. Okay, so I think that could be the game plan. That's what you're looking at, which again means that you are positioning for the potential to buy the dip. But how low could you go? Well, easily you could come down into the zone over here. That's what I mean. You could drop. If it gets really, really scary and you take out this wick low, you're probably going to accelerate. And we're very far from that happening right now. Percentage-wise, you need to get another 11% down. If you take out that wick low, probably panic will ensue and you'll accelerate all the way down. That from current price could be a 25% drop. Okay, I don't know if it's going to happen. So I am mentally prepared. I'm either buying lower or I'm buying higher, but I'm not buying over here in the middle of nowhere. All right, cool. That's it from me, folks. Thank you so much for joining. I do appreciate each and every single one of you. Again, join the school movement, right? The crypto school movement. Use the Bank link below. Sign up, claim your deposit. I'll see you all on the next one. I hope you have a lovely day, everyone, and cheers for now.